Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a very detailed tutorial on how I do stitch braids. I do already have one posted on my channel, but I did get some comments on that video that I'm going to address in this video, but I will also have that one linked at the top. You always want to start off with a good blow dry. Your client's hair doesn't have to be pressed, but you want to make sure that it's blow dry straight. The blow dry that I'm using is the Silverbird, and I got it off from Amazon, and I will have the link down below. For parting, the easiest way to get like clean, consistent parts when doing stitch braids going straight back is to start off by parting from ear to ear, and then I'm going to take that front section and I'm going to section it out by how many braids I'm going to do. So for this client, I'm going to do 6 stitch braids, so I'm going to do 3 on each side, and so for this right side, I'm going to split it into 3. Then I'm going to take a nice and sharp parting comb, and then I'm going to just take that first initial part from the front section and bring it all the way back, going at the curve of my client's head. Then I'm checking the other part just to make sure that those two sections are even as well. Then I'm going to just apply the gel to the part just so I can clean it up. The easiest way is really just taking your time. That's the biggest thing, is taking your time. Don't try to go through and do one whole line. Do little by little, making sure it's even. Make sure you apply attention to the section just to make sure that it looks even all the way, and also checking in that bigger section just to make sure it's even all the way down. For the braid gel, I'm using my brand of braid gel. If you would like to purchase, it will be linked down in the description box and also in my YouTube store. As you can see, it's nice and thick. It has a strong coat and it's good and works for all hair types. When you're applying your product, you want to make sure that you're not using too much, but also not too little. You want to make sure it's the right amount, especially if your client has thick natural hair. You want to lay that product on. Make sure you comb it through with a small tooth comb. I like to use like the BARBER all-purpose combs because the teeth are a little bit finer on that one side, and it helps make the hair very sleek. You want to make sure you're molding it down really good for a polished look and also to help with longevity. I'm applying the product to both sides, and I also split it down the middle and apply a little bit of product in the middle just so that her hair is fully saturated. And as you can see, I sectioned off that small part in the front, and that's going to be where you start your braid. If your client wants edges, then you will pull the edges out and then start from where the first start of the braid is. But my client didn't want any, dramatic edges or anything like that out. So I just kind of sleeked it back, and then I'm going to start my braid like that. And I'm telling y'all, the key to stitch braids is your mold. If your mold isn't good, then you're going to struggle while you're starting to braid, especially if your client has thick natural hair. So I'm always making sure I'm taking my time when molding that hair into place so that when I start to braid, it will be nice and smooth and I don't have to worry about, struggling to make sure everything is neat. Off the braid, I braid at least like 3 or 4 times before I actually start stitching. I stitch on both sides, and I usually use my pinky nails. Sometimes I use the rings if I don't have nails on. I know some people also use the comb, but it's still the same concept. You want to make sure you're keeping a firm grip and keep your fingers very close to each other and very close to your client's scalp so that you don't loosen your grip, and that's going to make your stitches look really clean. I'm gonna slow this part down just for a second just so y'all can see how I'm adding in hair, and then I'm gonna talk through like when to add in hair, how much hair to add in, and all of that stuff. And as you can see, I'm stitching and then I'm gonna add in that piece of braiding hair. I like my stitch braids to look a little bit more natural, so I don't add as much braiding hair in the beginning. I'm using small pieces, and once I get to about my client's ear, that's when I start to make them a little bit bigger, and then and I gradually increase the size so that the braids get thicker. Now my client wanted her braids in a bun, so I don't make the braid super thick when I'm putting my client's hair in the bun, so it doesn't be too heavy. But if they want their braids hanging down, I will make the pieces a little bit bigger just so that it'll be kind of thick once it gets to that nape area. And sometimes on the side that's closest by her ear, I will skip stitching on that side so that it will be a little bit more even on both sides. To determine when you should add braiding hair, you just want to look at your braid. If it looks too thin, then you want to stitch and then add in another piece of braiding hair. If it looks fine and you feel like you should wait, then you can just skip this stitch, and on the next time you stitch, then you can add in another piece of braiding hair. And throughout this whole stitching process, you want to make sure that you're applying product to your client's natural hair and combing it through so that it blends with the braiding hair. This will also help with the longevity and also give it a polished look. Once I get down to the nape area, I kind of mold up the nape area so that it helps with the tension in the back. As you can see, it looks like it's kind of molded up a little bit, and that just helps so that it's not pulling super tight. And you also want to check in with your client to make sure it's not too tight. For the next braid, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm going through with my jam and just defining the part and just taking my time just to make sure everything is even. And I'm really taking my time, making sure I'm working that product in, molding it down, making sure it's flat so that my stitches could be very flat. Towards the middle is always going to be the most dense and the most thickest part of your client's hair. So sometimes I don't have to add in as much hair as I did on that first braid, but I still just watch the size and add in hair as I need to. I forgot to record me finishing up the style, but once I'm done with all of my stitch braids, I go on with my mousse. Any type of satin mousse will work, and then I apply spritz also, and I use Pump It Up for the spritz, and I let my client sit under the dryer on medium for about 10 to 12 minutes just to help everything lay down flat. And when I'm applying the mousse, I'm making sure I'm pressing it into her braids, molding down that hair. That will also help with the longevity because it will tame the flyaways. And then you're going to use your spritz to freeze it in place. So this is the end of the video. I hope it was helpful. I will link my other video that I already have posted up at the eye so y'all could go watch that one. Make sure y'all stay tuned to the very end so that y'all can see the finished look once I did the bun and everything. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure y'all shop BBS Hair Care if you would like to purchase my braid gel and edge control. It's linked in my YouTube store, and I will also have it linked down below in the description box. Make sure y'all follow me on all of my social medias at sway.ken on everything: Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok. And I will catch y'all in the next video.